It was a magical run for the Toronto Blue Jays within a heartbeat several times of being World Series champions. Unfortunately, next season doesn't start with the bases loaded in the ninth inning of Game 7 of the World Series and having the game tied. You have to start right back at the start line and work your way through. So, big moves need to be made this offseason for the Blue Jays. Let's preview them as we take a look at our offseason preview, starting with the Blue Jays. All right. Obviously, heartbreak to end the season for Toronto, but an amazing run that got a lot of people's attention and obviously an opportunity to capitalize now for Toronto. So let's take a look at what is ahead for them this offseason. Obviously, the big conversation is Bo Bichette and what happens with him. I still, gut tells me that Bo is more than likely coming back to the Toronto Blue Jays. Apparently my dog agrees. I don't know if y'all can hear that. We good? Take that as a yes. Anyway, Bo Bichette. I still think the most likely outcome is he comes back to Toronto. I just feel like that connection with that team, with Vladdy, and seeing how that city just rallied around him, rallied around the whole team. I don't know how Bo doesn't stick around. Now, money talks, right? And there are going to be some big offers going out to him. But I still think that the more likely outcome is that Bo sticks around in Toronto. And with that, I know the Blue Jays are linked to Kyle Tucker, and I understand they are owned by the biggest telecom company in Canada, and one that just got mucho dinero from the playoff run, not just for the ticket sales and all the jerseys and everything like that, but I would imagine that TV revenue kind of helped out as well. So not that I don't think they really draw one from the other or anything like that, but I don't really know. So we'll see. But either way, there will be some motivations to keep this team good. Even with that, I don't think that there is a world where Bo and Kyle Tucker are on the Toronto Blue Jays. That would be a little excessive, I think. So my bet right now is that Bo is a Blue Jay and that Kyle Tucker ends up elsewhere. I don't know where that is. A lot of people just assuming the Dodgers. I don't really know if that's necessarily the case. I could see Boston really making I guess they're kind of loaded in the outfield. Like, that's the thing. Aside from, like, you have all the teams that normally spend, but I mean, I get, like, Kyle Tucker's a really good player. I'm not going to say, oh, well, none of these teams need him. Like, if the Yankees signed Kyle Tucker, they'd find room. Same thing with the Dodgers, right? Like, I love Teoscar Hernandez, but I think they would gleefully just find other work for him to do if they picked up Kyle Tucker. So I don't know about that. But I do think that maybe the market may not be as intense on Tucker as you would necessarily assume. This is a really good question in the chat. It is from Toxic. Would you rather have Bo or Kyle Tucker if you had to pick one? Obviously, Hart says Bo. We have watched this guy develop. He has been a part of our lives for the last few seasons. And if he is healthy the whole way, I do wonder if the results of the World Series are different, even though he hits a home run in Game 7 of the World Series. So the heart tells you that having Bo is better for Toronto. The brain, though, when you look at it, because, like, you already saw what this lineup looks like without him. With Ernie Clement playing at second, with Jimenez going over to short, Barger every day at third base. Like, you can actually piece the lineup together pretty easily with Bo not in there and have it look okay. And you add Kyle Tucker to that. And so the top of your lineup is now Springer, Tucker, Vlad, Santander, Kirk, Varsho. That's coming together very nicely. And you really do kind of solidify another outfield spot there for Toronto. And again, we are talking about one of the 10, 15 best players in baseball. And as much as I like Bo, he's not that. he could flash as that for a season, but Tucker can consistently be that for a long time. So from a wins and losses, what's better for the team? I do think it's Tucker, that he would be the better play for Toronto. But for all the intangibles and the heart wants what it wants, it would be Bo Bichette. So a bit of an emotional hedge on that one. But my offseason plan starts with Bo Bichette sticking around playing at shortstop. I do think Toronto isn't going to be content with just bringing the band back. And this is where it does get tricky, because we just went on this journey with this ball club for 10 months, from February on to October. And I know a lot of people went on this journey with this ball club for 2 weeks, from October on to October. But I think that there is this emotional connection when you go from the Grand Slam on Canada Day and the big games that this team had throughout the season leading up to that final stretch where Toronto wins 4 in a row to wrap up top spot in the American League, and then it's the ALDS over the Yankees and the Mariners in the ALCS and then the World Series. You get a connection with these guys. And so it would be great if you could bring back all 26 and then also add on to the roster. But just because there are players that we like doesn't mean that improvements can't be made. And I felt like Toronto was very close to getting him the first time, and I think they will get him this time. My pick is Cody Bellinger comes to the Toronto Blue Jays. I think, obviously, he has a bat that plays in this division really well. He has a glove that really fits Toronto's defensive passion, I guess. The importance they put on defense, Bellinger fits into that as well. And odds are you're going to have a defensive liability in right for a lot of the season. So I do think having a couple of plus defenders in Bellinger and Varsho certainly helps things out. I think they needed another good bat and another kind of big bopper from the left side. Bellinger can be that guy. It does get tricky then to figure out where everyone fits, because we are now looking at somewhat of a platoon somewhere with Clement and Barger or something along those lines. And that was one thing. I know that we probably have seen the worst season of the Anthony Santander contract, but it is really easy to put this lineup together without him. And it is a lot easier to put this offseason together without him too. So I don't think they trade him. I certainly don't think that would be the case. If they did, then I think that changes the equation on a potential for Tucker. I think you could make a couple of big moves then if you get that kind of big contract out of there. But I do think that there are going to be some players who earned a little bit more of a look during that playoff run, not really getting it because of some big acquisitions that this Blue Jays team makes, albeit in the name of getting this ball club better. The last one here, I know people have the Blue Jays kind of linked to Cease, but because I needed to predict a trade, I'm going back with the Twins and the Ryan talks that had popped up for a while in the trade period there for the Blue Jays. It sounded like the Jays were close on bringing in Joe Ryan. Sorry, I just said Ryan before. I know they were close on bringing in Joe Ryan. I think the Twins are probably going to be in a bit more of a teardown mode again. And so I think there is an opportunity for Toronto to go out and make a big splash with a Joe Ryan coming in and really solidifying this as one of the top rotations in the sport. And then to solidify the bullpen, my pick is Pete Fairbanks, the reliever coming out of the Tampa Bay Rays. I think, again, that kind of locks in. You keep Hoffman as your closer, and then you have a 7th, 8th, 9 of Garcia, Fairbanks, Hoffman. You start to feel pretty good about that with the lefty potential of either Fluharty or Lauer back there, and Varland and Rodriguez as coming to your righties chucking out of the bullpen as well. The other part is Bassett and Scherzer. Those are two guys I would love to keep around just for the vibes of it all and because of how important they were to the clubhouse and to the postseason run as well. I don't think there's a world where you can keep both of them, unless Bassett is okay with just 100% locked into a bullpen role, and then Scherzer is kind of a, almost a 6-man rotation thing, if you are bringing Ryan back into the fold. But Or sorry, if you were bringing Ryan into the fold. But I do think that one of those guys stays, even if it is in a bit more of a limited capacity than what they were used to with the Blue Jays last year. But no, I know we have predicted big off seasons for the Blue Jays in the past, and it hasn't always gone their way. But I do think better reputation, a bit more of a proof of concept, and a bit more money from the front office helps push this team now into another stratosphere when talking about free agents. So I think it's going to be as big of an offseason for the Blue Jays as a lot of people have been predicting. But what about you? Let me know either in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this after. All of the things that I got wrong in this conversation. Would love to hear your thoughts on where you think the Blue Jays offseason will go. Obviously, we do a lot with Couch Potato Diary. So make sure you know everything that is going on. Hit that notification bell so you know when all the videos are coming out from Couch Potato Diary. Also, I mean, while you're here, like is right there. Subscribe is there also. And I will say, I haven't done a good job of promoting this the last little bit. We do have a tip jar on these. It is in the link of every description and every video, as well as the podcast. On Twitch, there's a panel. Same thing with Kick, I believe. So if you wanted to throw your boy a birthday present or help out with the cat treats, that certainly would be appreciated, but certainly not required here on Couch Potato Diary.